So I posted a few photos just over a week ago of my Arduino project for my Aquarium controller. So some people have asked for a quick video to explain what it actually does. You can probably see there the white floats, one at the top, one at the bottom, or in the middle as it is. There's a black wire there that goes to a DS18B20. I don't know if you can see the clear white pipe. That's the drain pipe that takes the water out of the tank when it's draining, and on the bottom of that you can see there's a very tight metal strainer. That's because without that you can block the solenoid valve, which is, you might not be able to see, that's the inlet valve. The outlet valve is basically the same, but it's a solenoid. There's another one at the back for the outlet. The blue pipe that goes in on the same bracket there introduces water, so it fills it back up when I need it, and that's all mounted onto a plexiglass or acrylic sheet that's been formed to mount everything onto that goes into the tank, and then everything's cable tied to that, or zip tied depending on where you're from. That's the little plug board that has all the wiring go to it, and then that goes down to the main controller, which I have to say is a bit of a mess, but we'll take a look. So in there, let me see if I can grab a torch so we can see a bit clearer. So in there you've got a Arduino Mega. It's all a mess because it's been changed that many times that it's not really worth doing until I figured it all out right. There's a board there with all the DuPont connectors. That's just a power rail, so you've got ground and plus 5 volt rails on that. There's an RTC unit there, ESP8266 there, which I use for Wi-Fi and Alexa integration. Bluetooth module, that one is I think it's HC08 BLE, because I run on an iPhone, so it's a pain in the backside to use to anything else. 5 volt regulated power supply. And then in the box down there, I don't know how well you can see that through its container, there's two lots of 4-channel relays. Something's clicking on and off, it's probably the light on the sensor. The relays go to the drainage valve, the inlet valve, air pump, daylights, night lights, and what else? We've got the CO2. There'll probably be something there, but never mind. Yeah, and they're all controlled obviously through the Arduino, through the program. And then up the top I've got, let's say, ultrasonic sensor. Don't know the model number, but bet you lot will all tell me. All that does is, if I'm stood within the right distance of the unit, it'll turn the night lights on, which is just an LED strip at the back. More so because I've got small children, and in the evening when the main lights go off, they like to come and have a look at the fish, so the lights come on automatically for them. Then obviously we've got the controller boards for stepper motors. That little green board at the back, this one here is just an old board that I had for something else, and I've glued the sensor to it, so it's just a foot plate. But this board here is just a power strip. It literally just takes the power from this cable from the Arduino down below up here. There's a capacitor to transfer that power, and then that splits it over the two boards, and also I've got a little LED that makes the whole acrylic stand glow up. 2 stepper motors. I've got a plec somewhere in there, it's probably hiding because it's in the middle of the day, and that's plec food, and then normal fish flakes there. These containers they're for baby food, so for infant formula, and all I do is I cut a slot in them. I'll try and show you that. Cut a slot in them, and then I use the SMD workstation, the hot gun, heat them up and then bend them to the shape that I want them. But essentially what happens is, I'll show you on the controller in a minute, I set the amount of times it wants to feed, and they rotate, and that's what drops the food into the open hole, and there's some spare there for later. So that's basically everything on the tank side. This isn't the actual tube that feeds the solenoid, but it's about the same thing. There's another one of these, so it's a 1/4 inch PVC tubing. There's another one of these valves down there, And there's also a splitter. You probably can't see very much down there, but on the off chance you can, there you go, there's the back of the tank. It is a pain not being able to move the tank to do anything at the back, but pretty much used to working around it now. So yeah, there's one of these, bit of tube, solenoid, and then it goes into that plastic acrylic thing at the back there. And then for control, I've got the options. I've either got Alexa, as I said, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which I use a little bit. There's a certain app which I can't show you at the moment, but I can send a screenshot. And then this is my control unit, LCD controlled. Obviously current time and date, current temperature, which I've been having a little bit of a problem with, as you can see from previous post. The normal is to signify the drain state of the tank, so at the moment the water level's where it's supposed to be, everything's running smoothly, so it comes up normal. As I go through the menu, I've got the last time the fish were fed, which is the flakes. If I press the down button, it'll highlight the feed fish option. It's more so than anything else to stop my little 2-year-old from feeding the fish every 10 minutes. If it's something that's already highlighted, he'll just press the OK button here. Obviously it comes up saying that it's feeding, and as you're probably missing it, there you go. At the moment I think it's set to do it twice. Sometimes it doesn't drop, sometimes it does. It's not a big deal, because most of the time between the two different rotations, or the amount of rotations as it does, it usually feeds them. But yeah, they're getting fed there, they're going yap, they're going crazy there. My plec is called Ozo. My son's autistic and he named it Ozo. I did put plec feed and he didn't have a clue what it was on about, so that obviously displays the last time that was fed. Again, it's the same system, a bit noisier. I am having problems with the stepper motor connection to the things, which is why they're a bit wonky, but that works fine. And there's the food falling. You'd probably notice that the food's all broken in halves, it's not complete disc. It's just because it's difficult to get the food to come out the holes otherwise. You can see that the time has updated, so that's when they were just fed. It updates the time at the end of the feed, so rather than at the beginning, just because of the way the sketch is written. Water change, I'm having a couple of problems with this, but I'm working on that. But the actual water change itself, since I wrote the code several months ago, there's been a couple of tweaks to it, but overall it runs really well. Again, you have to press the up or down button to select to choose to change the water, and then you press the button. The problem I'm having isn't anything to do with the water change, it's just the status bar. So you can see obviously it says water change, it tells you it's draining, which is what it's currently doing. The only thing that's on at the moment is the solenoid for the drain valve. It's turned off the heater as well as the filter already. That's what it's, when it starts draining it turns all of that stuff off. I've got the option to abort. If I do that now, it's fine, it'll just top back up to where it was, and then it'll cut out and everything will turn back on, and that's fine. Once it gets to a certain stage, obviously I can't abort it. As it's draining, I can abort it. After that, it's just a case of it's refilling anyway, so it'll just do the same thing. Abort refills it basically. I'll leave that there for a minute and you can see what effect that has. Next menu page is for the main lights. So at the moment, obviously, as you can see, the main fluorescent tubes are on, the night light's off. Interestingly, that ultrasonic sensor, if I can hold the camera there and move my arm, that the lights have just come on. Obviously, as you can see, it comes on, it says auto when the night lights are on, outside of its normal schedule. You cannot interrupt that. If the lights are already on, it doesn't do anything. If the lights are already off, it comes on and then goes off. Anything you do while it's on won't make any difference. There's I think it's a 2-second on time and a 5-second off time to stop it flickering, so it takes 5 seconds after you've walked away to turn off, and if it's just turned off, it won't turn back on again for another 2 seconds. As you can see, I've also got simple things, air pump. You can turn that on and show. There you go, air comes on, turn it off, air goes off. Again, you've got CO2, which is bubbles through that little bar there. As you can see, very, I have to zoom right in. I can't even see that with my naked eye, but you can see quite well on the camera. That's already on. That'll stay on. That doesn't go off just because the pool's draining. There's no reason to. And that's driven from a rather large CO2 cylinder that's in a cupboard down the hallway. And my baby's now decided she wants to shout at me, which is why I haven't managed to get a video done up until now. Heater, you can see they're both off, the drain's on and the filler's off. Obviously when it's drained down to, what happens is it drains down to that float valve at the end that I showed you at the beginning. When it gets to that switch, it'll switch back to a filling mode. So the drain goes off, the filler goes on. When it gets back to the top, it overfills a little bit to stop it clicking on and off, and then the heater and filter will come on and everything else will be off. We then got settings. If I don't select this now, it just goes back round to that. Give me just a second to pause my video for a second there. So now I've got my daughter on my lap. So this is what happens when you go past the settings menu without selecting it. So we're back to the main screen, but as you can see it's draining. The issue with the loading bar, as you can see here, I just have this propped so I can see better. The issue with the loading bar, as you can see here, is that the loading bar should start over here. As you clear the LCD to go through the pages, only the pixels for the current block of characters show up, unless you leave it on that screen. I can show you the effect now of aborting. Again, you can see there the load bars, a couple of characters across already. There you go, it's now going to refill because I've aborted it. We've got a little bit of a problem again with the LCD not clearing, so the times there where the bar should still be. You can see that that's as I left it, the filler's now on instead of the drain. And again, if we go back, you can see that the load bar started there, that's fine there, but if I refresh back through, after it's gone through the 5 lines for each bar, that there's a problem with it. So yeah, you can see there the LCD is then cleared, so I'm sure I can probably address that. I didn't actually know about that little bit of an issue with the time staying there. I can probably clear that from the put an LCD clear line on the refill section of the autofill. Let's go and have a look in the settings. There's not much to it, it's not too complicated. It's very simple. That's the time the main light comes on. To select it, we press down to go across. We can either add seconds, 10 seconds, minutes, 10 minutes, and so on. Obviously if it gets to 24 hours it loops back around to 0 and so on. So again, with the main light off, does the same thing. Night light on, night light off. Air pump, CO2, and their fish feed, obviously as you can see, setting the times exactly the same, but if I go up instead of down, you can see I can select the fish count, the feed count, and that just adjusts the amount of times the feeder goes around, and therefore adapts the amount of food that the fish get. The fish get fed twice, so there's 2 pages for this. The feed count's the same for both, so regardless of what page I change it on, it will be changed on the next one. Ozo, or the plec as it is, feed, sorry I'm bobbling a bit here, it's because a little trembly daughter. The feed count obviously for the plec is different, so that's set there. The on distance and off distance for the ultrasonic sensor to let the light on and off, and I've got it set so I can see what it is at the moment, so it makes it easier so you can understand better for adjusting it. And I think that's the last page, and we go straight back to the refilling. When the tank's full, because I don't know if you can see there's a gap there now, when the tank's full, the float at the top, the float switch will obviously close, tells the Arduino. The Arduino then says, hey, I'll do another 10 seconds, and then it stops, and that stops it from when you're walking along the floor. The tank bounces, the water level bounces up and down and switches the thing on and off. So that's basically it. There you go, and thank you very much.